A mile-wide craft does not glide silently over a major American city. Not without radar. Not without jets scrambling. Not without answers. And yet, on March 13th, 1997, thousands of people across Arizona looked up and saw something that should not have been there. It moved slowly, deliberately, blocking out the stars. By morning, officials said it was nothing more than flares. The event became known as the Phoenix Lights. But what people remember seeing does not neatly match what they were told. That evening, reports began in Nevada. Witnesses described a massive V-shaped formation of lights moving southeast. Over the next hours, sightings spread across Arizona, Prescott, Phoenix, Tucson. The lights were described as enormous. Some said they formed a boomerang. Others insisted it was a single solid object with lights along its edge. Many reported silence. No engine noise. No sonic signature. Police lines were flooded. Air traffic controllers fielded questions. Families gathered outside to watch. Among the witnesses were pilots, military veterans, and even Arizona's governor. It became one of the largest mass sighting events in modern US history. And almost immediately, two timelines began to diverge. The official explanation centered on military flares. The US Air Force stated that A-10 aircraft from the Maryland Air National Guard had dropped illumination flares during a training exercise at the Barry Goldwater Range. These flares, descending slowly under parachutes, created the appearance of hovering lights. Video footage showing a row of bright orbs over Phoenix was cited as evidence. Military officials emphasized that no unknown craft entered restricted airspace. Radar did not confirm a structured object. There was no evidence of extraterrestrial activity. Case closed. Except the timeline complicates that closure. Witnesses described two distinct events. The first occurred around 8 to 8:30 p.m. when a massive V-shaped formation was seen moving steadily across northern Arizona toward Phoenix. This object reportedly passed directly overhead in some areas. The second occurred around 10 p.m. when stationary lights appeared over southern Phoenix. The documented flare drops align with the later event, which raises a question. If flares explain the 10 p.m. lights, what explains the earlier formation witnessed across the state? Many insisted the earlier craft was not separate lights. They described a single, enormous structure blocking out stars. Some claimed they saw a dark underside. Others heard only a faint hum, no jet engines. If flares were responsible, why did observers report a coherent shape moving horizontally across hundreds of miles? Officially, no unidentified object was confirmed on radar, yet some former air traffic personnel later suggested unusual returns were observed that night, though no verified records confirm a solid craft. Commercial pilots also reported unusual lights before the flare window. Then there was Governor Fife Symington. Initially, he mocked the event at a press conference, presenting a staffer dressed as an alien. Years later, out of office, he admitted he had seen something that night. something enormous and difficult to explain. Why ridicule what you privately found puzzling? The most disturbing element is not the sighting itself. It is the scale. Thousands across multiple cities described similar details from different vantage points. Collective hallucination in open-air environments is not supported by psychological research. Misperception can occur, but consistent structural descriptions across vast distances are rare. Video analysis supports the flare explanation for the later stationary lights. They drifted downward, consistent with parachute flares. But the earlier moving formation remains harder to categorize. Skeptics argue the V-shape was an illusion created by separate aircraft flying in formation. The human brain connects isolated lights into patterns, filling in gaps to create structure. Under this interpretation, there was no mile-wide craft, just planes and perception. Others suggest two unrelated events occurred: an unidentified aerial phenomenon earlier in the evening, followed by routine flares later, with public memory blending them into one. And then there is the more conspiratorial view, that a structured craft did pass over Arizona, that radar data was limited or withheld, that the flare explanation stabilized public reaction. There is no conclusive evidence of extraterrestrial visitation, but there is also no single explanation that resolves both timelines without tension. That night did not host one event. It hosted at least two, and the narrative merged them. In the years since, advances in camera technology and renewed government interest in unidentified aerial phenomena have reopened questions, because the central fracture remains. Eyewitness testimony was widespread, detailed, and consistent. Official explanations were narrow and time-specific. When thousands describe a moving structure and officials explain stationary flares, something misaligns. Memory can distort. Perception can mislead. But timing matters. Scale matters. On March 13th, 1997, something illuminated the Arizona sky. Part of it can be explained. Part of it resists tidy categorization. And in that gap between testimony and explanation, mystery survives. Was it misinterpretation amplified by darkness? Two events fused into one legend? Or did something enormous and silent cross over a major American city, only to be redefined by morning? The Phoenix lights remain suspended in the desert night, because when thousands look up and describe the same shape, the real question is not only what they saw, it's why the story still refuses to align